gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back once again to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. As always, I'm your host, Rob Cramer, joined by my co-host, Daniel Bobo Curlin. And boy, have we got a lot to get into tonight. Obviously, we've got some highs and lows with the New York Rangers being tied up 2-2 in the Eastern Conference Final. We both, I'm sure, have a lot to get off our chest about the New York Metropolitans. So I'm definitely planning on smashing them a little bit later in the show. The Yankees are pretty much one of the best teams in baseball, half game out of the best team in the American League. So we'll talk about them in a little bit too. Of course, the red hot Aaron Judge. But before we get to all that, Dan, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I feel was one of the worst days as a sports in my life as a sports fan. Yesterday was one of the worst nights.
Yeah, it was pretty bad as the Mets completely crapped out in their doubleheader, blowing their early game that they should have won, and then literally not even showing up for a home game in the second half of that one as they dropped that one 3-0. So the Mets suck, and we're going to rip them apart a little bit later. But to the other part that you mentioned, Dan, the New York Rangers unfortunately took an L last night in overtime, the third straight game that in this series that has gone to overtime. Game one, the Rangers lost 3-0 in regulation, but then they won 2-1 in regulation. They won five in overtime. They won 5-4 in overtime, and then last night they lost 3-2 in overtime. Dan, I know you were at the game for their big win. You were at the viewing party in Central Park over the weekend for their big Game 3 victory. How are you feeling about this series so far?
Well, first I want to start with that. Since what happened since we last broadcast, as all of you who saw on our Patreon show, I was at the viewing party in Central Park. That was a fun viewing party. That was the most fun I've had at a Rangers viewing party in a while, because I just feel like every Rangers viewing party I went to, aside from maybe a gathering at a bar, I had the worst luck with. And
Yeah.
And it includes some viewing parties I did at the Garden, because I mean, let's put it this way into context. Before this, the last time I attended a Rangers viewing party, it was at the Garden, and it was the day we lost the Eastern Conference Finals in 2022. That was the last time I attended a Rangers viewing party. So This one, going to this, I was a big winner because my mom said, you got to go to this. You got to be a part of this. Celebrate with other fans. Be a part of that whole thing. And it seems like a lot of fun. You get to at least get that feeling. If you can't be at the game, at least get that feeling, Plus, I'm sure you'll get to enjoy with some other fans that are priced at the Garden that really want to be there, and that are probably enthusiastic about being at that party as well. So I went. The weather was just great. Hot, but still great. I will take it over shoveling snow any day. All right. All you people that rather be in cold Alaska, come on. Much better than shoveling snow, injuring yourself, being partially immobile the rest of your life. Come on. I will take that weather yesterday over snow anytime.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was just beautiful. I had to walk a little bit to the park. I entered the park from the Fifth Avenue entrance. Nice little walk to get to where they do like the summer stage. I don't know if you heard, where they do the Soto summer stage concerts. That's the area of Central Park. They did that. Nice walk, nice little Sunday, Memorial Day weekend. Got there, entered the place as soon as they gave place. Had my first ice cream of the summer, which was pretty good. Which is always good. A little ice cream at the park. Some New York hot dogs. Some soda. It was great. Sat there, watched the game. Enthusiastic Ranger fans. everything leading up to the game. The fans were enthusiastic. Were pumped. I was pumped. Rangers won in overtime. That was just an exciting game. Nerve-wracking game, but still fun to be there. And then, of course,
Yeah, and Dan, just a quick live score update, just in case you were wondering. The Mets right now are in the 8th inning against the Dodgers, and they're losing 9-3. They've once again completely blown it. So before we move on and talk about the Mets later, I just want to say I hate the fucking Mets. I hate that fucking game.
I don't know.
I'm so sick of them.
I just have a bad feeling that this year. I meant that there are some games I want to attend, but I have a feeling like when I used to be able to afford back when I used to be able to afford a partial plan. In 2012, I only went to the games I had like most of the games I went to were on my partial plan. And I feel like in 2012 I went to more Brooklyn Cyclones games than I went to Met games that year, because the coupons were being like shit that year.
Yeah, but the thing is, at least we understood why the Mets sucked then. You know what I mean? At least we understood. At least we got why the Mets didn't spend money, because the Wilpons didn't have them. When you have the richest owner in sports and they spit in your face and give you this shit 2012, 2013, 2011 Met roster, it makes you sick. And I don't want to watch or support these guys.
I gotta say, Ken, whatever you're doing, whatever Chico is doing, might fly for a hedge fund, but not for baseball. Hire a baseball person as your GM, not some guy with a Harvard degree and a laptop, with an Ivy League degree and a laptop. Ivy League guys with a laptop do not belong as GMs in a baseball. You know what belongs? People who work around baseball their whole lives.
Very true, Dan. And as a matter of fact,
not Ivy Leaguers with a laptop.
Yep. And as a matter of fact, I want to show you this, Dan, because I actually, believe it or not, I was so upset with how the Mets played, or I'm sorry, how the Mets have been playing, that I actually sat down with a good friend of mine and wrote a song about how much the Mets suck. So this is my feelings on the Mets right now.
Everyone, this is
that's the wrong that's the wrong video. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can pull this damn thing up again. Sorry about that, Dan. But it just goes to show what a joke the Mets are.
And I just gotta say one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it'll take. Please win a World Series while I'm alive and while my mama is alive.
Well, it's not looking good right now.
That's just all I ask. I can live my life happy.
This is the song.
You guys, listen to this song I just wrote. It's called I Hate You Guys. I hate you guys. You guys are assholes. Especially Kenny. I hate him the most. Okay, now let's try one all together. I hate you guys. Come on, you guys know the words.
Now, that's exactly how I feel about the Mets this year. I hate the Mets. They all suck. And if you're wondering, Kenny is David Stearns.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, I've never seen a big-nosed person I've been more annoyed at since Howard Stern stopped being Howard Stern.
and since you stopped hanging out in his studio, right?
Unfortunately, I never had. I mean, I know. Believe me, I'm sick of people asking me about that Photoshop.
Yeah, it's such an obvious Photoshop too.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Trust me, I was sick about that. But anyway, it just makes me sad. One thing I badly want to see happen. I badly want to see it happen. I have such a special relationship with being a Mets fan my whole life. It's got me. This team, my mom taking me to Met games when I was little. I credit to this day. I will tell every Mets person I talk to, anyone at the ballpark, if I got a couple of words, if Howie Rose talked to me for a little bit, I would say the same thing. this team. My dad died when I was little, and I credit one of the things that's got me through the loss of my dad. My mom taking me to Met games, introducing me to this sport. Well, she introduced me to a lot of the sports, but my mom went through baseball, taking me to Met games, the Shea Stadium. It's just
Yeah.
it's one of the things that's only one. And
Since we're
I
talking
bet
about it anyway right now, how about let's just go to the Mets. Let's just go to the Mets. I was gonna try to direct us back to the Rangers, but fuck it. Let's just go to the Mets. The New York Mets are a complete fucking disaster, and it's entirely Steve Cohen's fault. Every single bit of it is Steve Cohen's fault. We can hate on David Stearns as much as we want, but guess what? Guess who hired David Stearns and put him in charge? And now David Stearns is getting paid $10 million a year to fuck us over.
What the heck? I was questioning. I was questioning if the Mets even was a good idea hiring this guy.
Yeah, well, look,
from the beginning,
most of us wanted him. Let's be fair.
Yeah,
including me. I was wrong.
I just had a bad feeling about this guy. I would have liked if they kept stuck with Billy Epler. Even Billy Epler would have been great if it wasn't for all the shit he did.
Yeah, Billy Epler was an asshole too. Everything this guy Cohen's done.
Billy Epler would have only been great if he would have been around and able to recruit Shohei Ohtani.
Everything this guy, and he wouldn't have gotten Ohtani anyway. Everything this guy has done since he's been here has been the wrong fucking move. What was the first superstar he picked up that we were all really happy about? Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor is a perennial letdown every single year. The guy's hitting 211 in June. Give me a fucking break. I'm so sick of Lindor. And look, I was a big fan of the trade at the time. Wrong. And it blew up in their faces, and it sucks. Same thing, Jeff McNeil. I've been a fan of Jeff McNeil. The guy won a batting title. He fucking sucks. Jeff McNeil can't do shit. Jeff McNeil means nothing to the Mets if he's hitting 240 and 250. His value comes out when he's hitting 300 or over. You know, to get this, and same thing with Brandon Nimmo. What is wrong with all these fucking guys? I don't understand, Dan.
Exactly. And then just when it looks like the Dave Pete Alonso's going to come out of this slump, guess what happened? He's injured.
Yep.
And I feel bad for the fans that were probably looking forward to seeing one of the big stars on the team. You know, some of the Mets fans going to the London series. And I really hope I hope there's at least one win the Mets get, because I can't fucking stand any sports team from Philadelphia. I hope the Met fans outnumber the Philly fans. I'm sick of.
Philly's the best team in baseball, Dan. Let's look at where these teams have gone over the last couple of years. The Phillies sucked 2 or 3 years ago. The Mets won 100 games, and the Phillies are the best team in baseball right now. You understand that? They're like 38 and 15. They are the best team in baseball. I'm not going to sit here and cry about, how much I dislike the Phillies, because I do dislike them. I don't like them, but guess what? I wish we were the Phillies right now. At least we'd have a competent owner who went out and signed Bryce Harper, because everybody knows that guy was going to be an amazing player for 10 years, and he's already going to go in the Hall of Fame, and he's probably going to go in wearing a Philly uniform if he keeps this shit up. So I sit here and I look at the team we have, and it just drives me insane.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts. I wish to say I feel the same way, and it does bum me out. And at the same time, of course, it does make me annoyed to see all the sports teams from Philly winning. The Phillies and the Eagles. I'm envious. It annoys me
exactly.
Them winning.
Exactly. The Eagles have been in, they won their Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Obviously, they just got to another Super Bowl 2 years ago and lost, but by the skin of their teeth, they're still one of the best teams in football. Same thing with you just said with the Phillies. The Phillies, okay, they won the World Series in 2008, but they were just back there a couple of years ago. We got Met fans still talking about 2015. 2015. Look, I love the 2015 team, but they were even showing it on SNY before. I don't want to hear about the 2015 team anymore. That's a decade ago. That would be like in 2015, sitting there showing Steve Traxel clips from 2006.
Yeah. I feel before 2015, SNY kept running stuff for the 26-06 season. Then for a while they've been leaning on 2015, and you know what I suggested SNY should run reruns of, and I hope no one at the Mets gets this wrong. Be criticizing. I'm just a fan that wants to see this team win. All right, but I got it. I don't want to get in trouble in a minute, but I feel SNY should maybe would be a breath of fresh air over a rerun of the 2015 the same highlight films over and over again. Maybe some MST3K reruns during rain delays would be nice.
I'd rather see that, to be honest. I'd rather see MST3K than anything having to do with the Mets right now. I wish they would cut off the rest of the game right now, the feed, and just play MST3K, because I don't even want to see how this game ends. Because let's be honest, Dan, it's not going to be pretty. Let's see right now, and I wrote this before it was official, and I don't even know if it's official yet, but it's about to be. The Mets are on the brink of getting swept by the Dodgers. They've already lost 9 of their last 12. Once this one goes final, they're going to have lost 10 of their last 13 games. 10 of their last 13. And now let's not forget, me and you were just ripping Steve Cohen and the genius David Stearns 2 weeks ago. This is why I titled this one, Eating Their Words. 2 weeks ago, both of these clowns came out and said that this team has a run in them and that they like the way it looked. Me and you looked at this team in December and knew it sucked. We looked at this team in February and knew it sucked. But 2 weeks ago, the two guys running the show were like, well, gee, I think they've got a run in them. What are they talking about? Who believes this shit?
Yeah, and then the worst part, I feel like in 2022 they botched it, half-assed the trade deadline, half-assed it.
Yep, 100% right, Dan.
I feel they half-assed it.
You could literally trace the downfall of the New York Mets over the last 2 years to that trade deadline. You could even actually do it back to the trade deadline a year before that in 2021 when they stupidly gave up Pete Crow Armstrong for 2 months of Javi Baez to shit the bed, and the Braves went out and made every single move they made at the deadline paid off on a World Series run. And let's not forget, the Mets were in first place when the Braves made those moves too.
Yeah, that one hurt. Like, to be honest, I don't think I really watched much of the 2022 21 playoffs, and 2022 hurt me to watch seeing the Phillies in the playoffs. I looked at a little bit in 2023, and I feel almost worse like what happened with 2029. I could not stomach seeing a World Series between two teams I despise greatly. I despise the Yankees and the Phillies. I did not watch a single game of that World Series.
Yeah, well, guess what, Dan? We might be waking up to a Yankees-Phillies World Series again this year, because aside from the Yankees being a half game back of the Cleveland Guardians right now for the best record in the American League, those are the best two teams in baseball, the Yankees and the Phillies.
I told, you know what I told my friend, you know what I told a friend of my mom's who's on social media, who I've gotten to know a little bit well, because she knows my mom. She's seen some of my social media posts. I told her, I hope she's so cold to the Cleveland Indians, like I do, right? I hope the Cleveland Indians beat the crap out of the Yankees. I can't stand them. You guys better have the pitching to beat them.
Yeah, well, after Cleveland swept the Mets last week, they could go fuck themselves too, as far as I'm concerned. And by the way, it's 10-3 right now as Jason Hayward just homered in the 9th inning. Yeah, that's right. Jason Hayward, who can't hit his weight, who barely hits 200 every year and is only on the team for his defense, just hit a home run in the 9th inning at Citi Field. So that's how you know how great things are going. Also, this is another little key before we move on from the human garbage that is the New York Mets. These are the last 5. This is what's happened just in the last 5 days that Met fans have had to deal with. And we're finally starting to get some decent pitching from our rotation. As you can see, last Friday, Christian Scott, 6 innings, 2 runs, only a couple of hits scattered, left the game up 5-2. What the Mets do? They end up losing that one 8-7. The next day, Luis Severino dominates, carries a no-hitter halfway through the game. 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, left up one. He left the game up 2-1. The Mets end up losing 7-2 after giving up a run in the 8th, a run in the 9th, and then 5 in the 10th. Disgrace. Yesterday, Tyler McGill, game 1 of the doubleheader, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 9 strikeouts. Best game the guy's thrown all year. By the way, he only threw 98 pitches, so why the hell isn't the genius manager Carlos Mendoza sending him out for the 8th inning? He cruised. This was one of the fastest games I've seen all year, but he doesn't. Genius takes him out. Mets blow it, lose 5-2 in 10 innings. And you can't blame that one on Edwin Diaz because Adam Ottavino blew that. So this is just the last couple of games that us as Met fans have been forced to watch. Dan, this is a joke. This is like minor league bullshit.
Yeah, and all I can tell you is that if we're going to tank this bad, we better get a high draft pick. Otherwise, I'll be upset.
That's the thing too, Dan. It's interesting you say that because right now, do you know where the Mets would be picking if the draft was held today?
Where?
17th. 17th. And you know why? It's not because the Mets have the 13th best record in baseball, which normally what it would mean. The Mets actually have the 7th worst record in baseball. But because of the geniuses that hate the Mets and hate Steve Cohen, that never did this to the Yankees or the Dodgers for the last 20 years, if the Mets don't finish with a bottom 6 pick, which means they have to have one of the worst 6 records in baseball, then which right now the Mets are 7th, so they don't lock in that spot. They drop 10 picks in the draft because of their salary, because of the amount of salary they have, which, by the way, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander still both count towards. So right now, the Mets would be picking, instead of 7th, 17th. So thanks again, Stevie Cohen and all the geniuses running the Mets organization.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with Verlander. Is he on pace to pitch that innings that we're stuck with him another year?
Right now, he's not on pace for it, but he's healthy right now and he's pitching every 5th day. But I think he had to hit like 140 innings or something like that. I don't think he's going to hit it.
Yeah, so at least it's one saving grace that he could be off the payroll after this year.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that one, no doubt about it.
Yeah. And bear in mind, I don't wish for any bad luck on anyone, but it does benefit us to not have him on the payroll next year.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm not gonna root for that, but if that happens, it's still fine. We don't have to pay him next year.
Well, we tried to hold that one back, ladies and gentlemen. We wanted to start with the Rangers, but our anger for the Mets just boiled over the surface. So.
It's more just an anger that just makes us sad. I feel like it's more sadness than anger, even though it seems like anger, because this is like a part of my life the entire time. I mean, like.
Yeah, it's true. Me too, man. I was born the day the Mets clinched the pennant in '86. Like, I've been told my whole life I'm destined to be a Met fan, whether I like it or not. The Mets are in my blood. I love the Mets. That's why it elicits this kind of emotion from me. Because like you said, Dan, you're 100% right. It makes me so sad that it makes me angry.
Yeah, exactly. You were from everything you tell me, I pretty much imagine your mother is in a delivery room. She's listening. She's probably paying attention to it. They probably have the radio on in the living room. Bob Murphy's voice is blaring through the speakers in that delivery room. She's paying attention to that game, that 16-inning game. Yes, he's hearing Bob Murphy's voice, and I'm sure the people in the delivery room are trying to pay attention to that game while doing the delivery at the same time. And almost probably, hopefully, maybe a little bit after, you probably popped out of your mother, she's celebrating both your births and the Mets just getting to the World Series for the first time since '73. As you look into context back then, she's probably celebrating like crazy when she's hearing Bob Murphy's voice. You know, that iconic call, swing and a miss, swing and a miss. They're in the World Series.
Struck him out.
Yeah,
Mets win.
I've listened to that broadcast off of YouTube. That entire broadcast. Like, I don't know if you've seen this. You found it on YouTube. Someone actually synced the whole radio broadcast with the visuals of the TV feed. Someone figured out how to do that. Yep. And I loved seeing that, especially when they did that with the World Series. Like, I loved seeing that, getting to hear that Bob Murphy call of that.
Yeah, very true. It's I wish this DVD box set also included the entity, the whole NLCS, like I don't know if you have that '94 Rangers DVD box set that included the Eastern Conference Finals. That's one. I don't have the Rangers one, but I have the '86.
Yeah, you can probably find it on eBay. Thank God I transferred some of the TV broadcasts from VHS. Yeah, I had to transfer it to DVD from the VHS as my mom recorded of the NLCS back then. I transferred it to I transferred some of those to DVD, along with the Let's Go Mets video.
Yeah,
from '86. Yeah, I transferred that, which are things I wished would have been included on that box set. I'm shocked the Let's Go Mets video wasn't a DVD extra, because they could have done that, because I heard. I know some Bears fans that told me, like, with the whole DVD of, like, the Super Bowl broadcast and everything, the Bears, their little DVD of their championship moment, the original broadcast of their championship moment, included the Super Bowl Shuffle. How come that '86 Mets broadcast didn't include Let's Go Mets?
It's a good point.
And by the way, speaking of Super Bowl Shuffle, not only does their pizza in Chicago sucks, the greatest Super Bowl song ever was "Fuck Tom Brady" when the Giants won Super Bowl 46 by Eastside Days. That was the greatest Super Bowl. That was the greatest Super Bowl song ever. I'm sorry, Chicago, but that was the best Super Bowl song ever. I will argue it to this day.
And you know what? Chicago knows it, whether they like it or not. Chicago knows it.
Yeah, they know. So, that shit isn't even pizza. It's just bread with some stuff, some sort of cheese and something. It's a giant piece of bread with pizza ingredients. It's what it is.
It's a good point. Dan. And you know what, Dan? Let's lighten the show up a little bit now. All right, we moved on from the Mets. We got a couple of little things to talk about now till we wrap up the show. We'll talk some Rangers for a little bit. We'll wrap up the show with some Yankees talk. And Dan, all right, let's jump back right into Rangers territory. So just to refresh everybody, the Rangers ended up losing 3-2 in overtime yesterday. The Eastern Conference Final is now tied 2-2, heading back for Game 5, which is taking place Thursday night, tomorrow night if you're watching this live and you're a Patreon subscriber, or tomorrow when we debut live on YouTube, it'll be tomorrow night. So Dan, the thing that I found about this series so far and this game in particular is how good Igor Shesterkin is. Now, obviously, it was crazy how much Messier and even PK Subban, who hates the Rangers, was heaping praise on Shesterkin, and deservedly so. But when you look at even in the way that the Panthers scored in that game, it was 2 fluke goals that even beat him to get it to overtime. If you looked at that first goal, I watched that replay about 10 times, and I still can't figure out how that puck got in the net. That it squeaked around the corner of the net and then somehow squeezed between his pad and the post. I still can't believe how that one got in. And then the second goal that put them up 2-1 before the Rangers would tie it 2-2, it was a deflected shot that hit off the shoulder of one of the Rangers defensemen, popped straight up in the air, and was literally like grabbed like a lasso with the stick for, I forget which guy in the Panthers scored it, but he pretty much lassoed the puck and threw it in the net like a lacrosse player would. Like that. Those are two fluke goals that if you're the Rangers and those are the only way that you're going to get beat in regulation with just jerking, I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah, well, for one thing, first I got to say, I'm sick of losing to teams from Florida in the playoffs.
Well, hey, it's 2-2 right now, so
Yeah, true. I have a feeling we're going to win this. I just have
Me
a gut
too.
feeling. I have a gut feeling this team maybe, I hope they maybe talked. I'm sure Lundqvist talked to them and feels like he sees a lot of the guys that he was with, that great group of Rangers that did everything but win a championship. I feel like he knows he's saying, do what the group of guys I played with couldn't do. And
Yeah,
I badly want to see. I badly want to see this group of Rangers win a championship. This group of Rangers that's going on a nice streak of making the playoffs. I want to see them win a championship. And you know what? I was saving this for when the Mets win the World Series. But you know what? I say if the Rangers win a championship, since I don't know how long it'll be before I get this long, we might need to do a victory trip to Disney World together. So similar to what I said. Remember how I kept saying, like, if the Mets win the World Series, I was going to get a couple of Met fans to do the same thing that Super Bowl MVPs do. Yell out, "We're going to Disney World," and get a bunch of Met fans to go as a group. See like a whole group of orange and blue on the various rides. Those photos. Where they take the pictures on the ride. Like you'd see a sea of orange and blue on like Space Mountain something. I feel like we got to do that with Ranger fans.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. If the Rangers win the cup, I say we figure out a way to do this. I mean, it might be a difficult time for me to do one, but we'd have to figure out a way to do that because I feel this is a championship that's worthy of that kind of a victory trip.
We're not going to be doing a podcast another 70 years for the Mets to win one, so we might as well do one for the Rangers because it's the only time we're going to get a fucking chance.
Yeah. Let's do this. Get it. Yeah, maybe like what I've said. Maybe with the Mets, maybe it'll go viral enough that we'll get a couple of Ranger players maybe to join us on the trip.
Maybe Igor Shesterkin, Dan. What do you think about how great he's been so far?
Yeah, he's been great. I have to say that'd be great, and I'd say that'd be pretty cool to just like see that picture on that picture they take on a ride like Space Mountain. That'd be pretty cool to see. Like you look in the background and you see Igor sitting amongst us.
Yeah, exactly. He's the best goalie in the world. I don't want to hear anybody arguing about it. Like, Sergei Bobrovsky is a very good goalie, no doubt about it. But as good as he is, Igor is that much better. He's been the difference in this game. If you look at, I think actually PK Subban put it best, where the goal that Trocheck scored to tie it, Steve Levy was trying to make a big deal about it, and PK Subban was just like, "What are you talking about? This game should be 6-2 right now. The only reason it's not is Igor Shesterkin." And as much as Subban annoys me at times, he's 100% right about that.
Yeah, exactly. This guy has been a dominant goalie. For one thing, Igor plays on a team that has quite a big following. That's definitely not a front runner team. Unlike freaking Florida, I knew half the fans in those stadiums wearing red. They were front runners.
Yep. And by the way, just so every other city in the country knows this, if you when they're screaming, when you have someone sing the national anthem, if you have to hype yourself up by screaming red or screaming some stupid word out of there because it's your corresponding color for your stupid team, that just shows that you're a Bush League city and you don't know anything about hockey. Like, you really have to entertain yourself with that to scream out in the national anthem the word red because the Panthers wear red. The Rangers wear blue. If I heard any Rangers fans screaming out blue during the national anthem when he says red, white, and blue, I would be pissed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you that Bush League?
Yeah, for one thing, I feel like when we cheer during the national anthem, it's because we're patriotic. We're cheering for our country.
Yeah, you're not cheering for color.
I've watched that many times. That broadcast of the Game 7, 1994 Stanley Cup Finals. That is the reason why we were cheering so loud that you could barely hear John Amaranthi, who sung the national anthem. That day you could hear his voice. It was because of that. We were cheering America. We knew the reason why we were here today is because of America, because of those brave people who fought to make this country, and those brave people who fought to protect this country and are still doing that to this day. That's why we were cheering. That is why we were cheering, because we knew damn well the reason why everyone was there that day at Madison Square Garden, why that day was possible. It was for that reason. That's why we were cheering. And
we weren't trying to entertain ourselves by yelling a color that our team wears.
Yeah, exactly. That is why. And I can tell you, I can look at that moment and it brings chills to my eyes just as much as it did the day I first saw it on TV.
No, I couldn't agree with you. It brings chills to my eyes too. And when you look at this series too, it looks like Dan might be getting a call right now. There you go.
There was just another window while I was fixing. So I got my phone with signal. Okay.
No problem.
I just had to do a reset on the thing that's picking up the Wi-Fi signal. But yeah,
no harm, no foul.
Yeah, but yeah, that moment will bring me the same chills it did, that same excitement chills as when I watched it that day.
Yeah.
Every time that was just, and I have to say, I feel like the same guy, the guy who does it today, I forget what's his name, and he did the national anthem at the viewing party. I feel the same guy has that same effect. I feel like
John Brandt. You talking about?
Yeah, John Brandon, his name is, right?
No, Brancy, Brancy.
John Brancy. That man, I feel, is just a very talented singer. And,
he is. That's a great job.
I feel the spirit of John Amaranthi lives on in him. I feel like.
I agree. The only thing that I wish that he would incorporate in his anthem singing is I used to love the way that when John Amaranthi would sing it, he would say the bombs bursting in air, and he would just really give it that extra oomph. I always love how he emphasized bombs, and I wish that
exactly. Another thing I wish he would do. I would love to see him at a viewing party just for the heck of it, because I feel John Amaranthi, you got to give a lot of credit. Not only that, with a little bit of Rangers history. Oh, you know that little song, that instrumental that you hear when the Rangers win? You know that song that goes,
the Rangers victory song. You put your sticks on your puck and don't get down on your luck. That's the Rangers victory song.
That
go
song,
through the enemy's goal with all your heart and your soul. It's the Rangers victory song. You've got to fight, Rangers fight with a grin on your chin. Tonight is the night, so get in there and win. This game is worth any price. Go out and put it on ice. It's the Rangers victory song.
That song, people forget that, as we just showed you, that song has lyrics.
Yeah.
And that song actually dates way back to when the Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1940. Also, that song, and a little interesting connection to why that song was also written by the same guy who wrote one of the most well-known Christmas songs, Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yes.
That same guy wrote the Rangers victory song. Same guy who wrote Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And now I'm actually remembering too that we've actually talked about this before. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Still an interesting tidbit.
Yeah. I feel like if the Rangers get to the Cup Finals, we got to film a video of us singing that song.
100. I'm 100% down.
100%. Yeah. And I don't know if this is possible. This might be a big stretch, but maybe it's possible. Maybe we could also get Flutesy to join us and play the song on a flute. I would love to see her play that song on a flute as well, if possible.
Awesome.
That would just make that video. That would just make that video even more awesome to have her in the background playing that song on the flute.
That's true. That would be great. The great Flutesy. Shout out to Flutzy. I haven't seen her in a little while. I hope she's doing well.
Yeah. I see her on Instagram. I say hi to her from time to time, and she responds back. So I'm glad she saw it. And I saw her. I think last time I really got to see her. Aside from hearing her from her online from time to time, saying hi to her, I saw her on a Chip Chipperson, and she was doing well.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. So
And
I could tell, and I just got it, and I had to admit also that I feel that group of people, that Eastside Dave Show cast, that was just one of the greatest group of people. I feel like I was a part of a great band that's no longer around. Like the Beatles or something. That's what I feel like I was a part of. Like
yeah,
that was
it's a
just such a
shame.
great band. Like it was just such a great thing that might never happen again, but it was just great, and I am forever glad to have been a part of that.
Yeah,
And
I love Compound Media. I'm a big fan of Compound Media. I've been a subscriber of Anthony's since day one, and I always will support Anthony, and I will never unsubscribe. I'm a big fan still into this day. But I do think the biggest mistake that they've made since they started Compound Media was letting Davey Max or letting the East Side Dave show go, because I I thought that was such a perfect show for Compound Media. It was the perfect area for Dave, having that full studio and everything, and
yeah,
having the cast of characters like you guys and everything. So it's just such a shame that for whatever reason they decided to no longer have Eastside Dave there.
yeah. That was like, I just I feel like a lot of times, aside from Anthony's show, that was one of the shows on Compound Media I really loved the most was the Dave Show.
Oh yeah, it was Eastside Dave, In Hot Water, Anthony's show.
Yep,
Shows were
exactly. Or I should say, the best version of In Hot Water when you had Aaron Burke there.
yeah, yeah,
That that
absolutely.
that,
No
that,
doubt
that
about
show
it.
hasn't. That the vibe of that show has not been the same since Aaron Burke left. That was it. That was just a show like when Aaron Burke. That's like how Van Halen fans talk about Van Halen with David Lee Roth. That show with Aaron Berg was the best, and
Yeah,
it
it
just
was.
hasn't had that same level of awesomeness since he left.
It's
That was
still
the
a
best.
great show. It's still a great show, but I agree with you because it was kind of the way that Gino and Aaron worked together. They had such great chemistry and everything, so it just worked out so well. And and
Yeah,
Gino still does a great job. Love him with Bobby on the show still, and Garrett and Steve are awesome on that show as well. Obviously, they always have the great Frankie McDonald on there too. So it's still a great show. But when Berg was there, man, yeah, I agree. It was like at a different level.
yeah. I was more enthusiastic about it back then with Berg. I haven't been as enthusiastic with watching that show as I was when Berg was there.
I
I was more enthusiastic when Berg was there. Another show I miss, and thank God it's still around somewhere. Don't you miss when Legions of Skanks was in Compound Media also?
Yeah, it was short. It was a short run for Legion of Skanks on Compound, but that was a hell of a run. Legion of Skanks, them having those like pool parties in Anthony's backyard and everything, and it was crazy times, man. And those were great shows too.
Yeah, those are great shows. I mean, but at the same time, I kind of feel like that Legion of Skanks, it worked out better for them because they were able to. I feel they were able to. I feel they were able to have the resources that they kind. I feel like they kind of had to branch out a little bit to kind of have that resources to put on a great event like Skankfest, which
Yeah,
I
no doubt
wish,
about it.
which I wish wasn't in a money draining location like Las Vegas.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because I feel
I
like
love to
Las
go to that
Vegas,
too.
there was a couple of better locations, more fun, easier,
Yeah,
cheaper to travel to than Las
it's true.
Vegas. Las Vegas, that's a money draining location. I would have
It's
been
true.
happy if Skankfest was in Florida.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But Dan, you know what? We have gotten far off topic here, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But let's wrap up with the Rangers here and just wrap up with the Yankees because, like I was telling you off there, I do have a hard out at 8, so I just don't want to make sure we miss anything. Okay, one last thing on the Rangers. No points from Zibanejad or Kreider this series. Look, Kreider had the hat trick in Game 6 to send us to the next round, so I can't knock Kreider. I can't knock Kreider. And same thing with Zibanejad, man. I mean, the guy had 14 points through the first 2 rounds of the series.
Yeah.
So they obviously were producing. It's been a struggle in this series, and not just for these two guys. I mean, it's been a struggle all over the ice for a lot of guys to score. Both goalies have played incredible. So while I do think we need to see more out of Kreider and Zibanejad, I can't sit here and rip these guys, right?
Yeah,
What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like this game is just a team effort. And I just feel like when you get these tough opponents, I feel like sometimes there's another strength that's not shown on the stats list. And it's that ability to tough it out against a tough opponent. I feel I feel like aside from yesterday's game, I feel like the Rangers were doing a good job of toughing it out and wearing down this tough opponent in the Panthers to get to that point where you got them right at that point where you could make a good run at it and get that key goal. That's what the great teams do. They managed to they managed to find a way. They find that way, that little strength that sometimes isn't shown on the stats list to win these tough fights. I feel every great championship team did that in New York. The '86 Mets found a way to do that. The great Giants team, 1986, they feel Super Bowl 21. They found a way to do that, and they made that big second half run. Same thing with the Scrappy Bunch, the 1990 Giants. I feel the 2007 New York Giants found a way to do that. Same thing with the 2011 New York Giants. Same thing.
I find it. I have to say, Dan, I do find it funny how you completely skipped over the Yankees '90s dynasty.
Yeah, well,
they only won 4 championships.
Yeah, I know the Yankees, but that's the Yankees. They just freaking went like crazy. I
just think it's funny.
yeah. I just feel I don't even feel like the Yankees are really a New York team. I feel like there's a million of these Yankee fans that never even been to New York.
Well, that's true, but that just shows how big their brand is. If anything, the Mets are more New Jersey than the Yankees are not New York.
Yeah, but I just feel like I just look at the Yankees as like a bandwagon team. Let's face it. You know what I feel like? I tell people, you want to ask for directions when you come to New York, look for the people wearing the Mets hats. Half these Yankee fans are tourists. The ones wearing the Mets hats, you more likely might find a local wearing a Mets hat than you will find a local wearing a Yankees hat. I feel like
those people wearing the Mets hats might be a lot more stupid than the ones wearing Yankee hats, but guess what? We could give you good directions, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, I every time I wear a Met hat right now, I feel like a total asshole.
Yep.
It shows my anger with the team. But Dan, let's keep it rolling right now, real quick. Now, talk about the Rangers and everything. We got one more series going on the other side, on the West, real quick before we go to the Yankees and wrap up. Who do you think comes out of the West, Dallas or Edmonton? Right, right now we got the Stars leading the series 2-1. It's a tight series so far. Dallas is favored. They were the best team in the West all year. Who do you like?
I just feel like this series might go a little closer. I don't know. For one thing, I just feel like the Rangers I have confidence with the Rangers over any of these teams. So, and I feel like Dallas might win this Western Conference Finals, even though I feel like it could go in either direction. But I just have a feeling Dallas would lose. And I know someone who I actually know a Rangers fan. I know a Rangers fan who works for the Stars, who actually says because he's there and he's seen these games that's happened because he works for the Stars, and he secretly admits he kind of wants to see Rangers Dallas, or the prospect that he could potentially be there.
Yeah,
to see the Rangers win the Cup in person.
Exactly. I think like you, I'm kind of on the same side as you that I do think that Dallas is probably going to win. And look, Dallas is going to be hard, man. Dallas is a good team, and that dude Gettinger, their goalie, he's not Igor, but he's not that far away from Igor. Man, this guy Gettinger is a damn good goalie. So I really hope that that the Rangers are up to the task if they do face Dallas. If I had to choose, though, I really hope it's Edmonton, because I think if the Rangers end up playing Edmonton, not only do I think they're going to win, but I think it would be a much more I don't want to say easy, because Edmonton, obviously, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, that's a hell of a team right there. That's scary, especially if you give them a lot of power plays. But it'll just be a much more free-flowing series, kind of like we saw against the Capitals, where the Rangers could kind of do what they want, as opposed to these last two rounds against insane defensive teams like Carolina and Florida, because Dallas is on that level of good defensive teams too.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on. Let me turn on the light. I figured we had enough daylight for this, but I guess I was wrong. Hold on.
All right. No problem, buddy. We only got another couple of minutes left anyway, as we're
but
about to wrap up.
Yeah, but anyway, what I was gonna say is that I just feel the same thing, and I also feel that the rest of the series, stay out of the penalty box. I was yelling at what you do. We can get into that. I was more yelling at. I think it was Winberg that got that penalty. Why do you have to do that?
It was what's it called? It was Wheeler. But let's be honest. Even though Wheeler got called for that hook, that was all Zibanejad. And look, like I told you before, I don't want to knock Zibanejad for not getting points, but that was a shitty penalty, and he set up. He put Wheeler in a terrible position where Wheeler had to hook the guy.
Yeah, that what the fuck? It just set us up for that stupid penalty. And the one thing you wanted to do was stay out of the penalty box, and we failed to do that, especially in overtime. And I was like, oh my God, don't tell me I'm gonna. It took a lot of great strength for me not to destroy the TV, because I feel that's one of the worst nights I had as a sports fan. I already had to deal with the double loss earlier. I had to deal with this. What the fuck? Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Well,
all I can tell you is that Thursday, when all of you are watching it, next Thursday, I better still have a beard on my face. That's all I got to say.
I'm with you on that one, buddy. And that's a perfect way to wrap up our hockey segment. Perfect. I'm with you 100% on that. Now, you know what? Finally, last couple of minutes, let's turn our attention to the Yankees. I wanted to touch on them right after the Mets, but hey, whatever. We're bouncing all over the place today. It's no worries. Yankees right now, Dan, as we were talking about before, man, they have been playing some great baseball. 37-19, half game back of the Cleveland Guardians or Indians, whatever you want to call them, for the best record in the AL. They're looking to get on the board in the series tonight in Anaheim after a tough 4-3 loss last night. They were up 3-2 for most of the game, but blew it late and ended up losing that one, which the Yankees haven't done too much of this year. So obviously they've been pitching pretty good. What do you think about the Yankees out west and how good they've been playing lately, Dan?
I just have to say they've been good. At the same time, I just have a gut feeling that Baltimore is going to be the team that's going to that's going to be the tough opponent for the Yankees, I feel like.
Well, no doubt about it. That those two teams are going to be battling all year. But when you look at, this game, like specifically in Anaheim, like even tonight, the Angels are not a good team. So for the Yankees to have lost that game last night to Anaheim is a tough one to swallow. especially when you look at what the Yankees are going up against tonight now, as it's a really, really good pitching matchup. With this kid, the Yankees have brought up Luis Gil, who's 6-1 with a 2.11 ERA right now, going up against former Dodger Tyler Anderson, who is just as much of a tough customer this year too, 5-4 with a 2.5 ERA. And in my opinion, it's even more impressive than Gil because he's doing it for a crappy team in the Angels. So, what do you think about this matchup tonight, Dan, and how it goes for the Yankees?
I just feel like this one looks like a close matchup to the Yankees. Like, it's going to be a tough opponent. I feel like it's one of those games where you're facing a losing team, but you're facing a pitcher that's just overcoming being on a losing team. That's pitching really good on a. I feel like it's sometimes, like sometimes when facing the Arizona back in the day when you had like Randy Johnson, it's kind of that.
Yeah, or even the Mets with DeGrom, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a bad team, but you're facing one of the best pitchers in the game.
Yeah. So this guy, he's and you got to remember too, he got that big contract for the Angels and had a bad year last year in his first year there. But man, he has come back and has been great in his second year.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those games where 1-0 could feel like 10-0.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, with those Yankee bats, you kind of sit back and keep your fingers crossed and hope maybe one connects. But you're right. In a situation like that, one run could be all you need. But with the way this guy's been going lately, though, the Yankees can pretty much count on him doing something every day for the last 2 weeks. Aaron Judge has been as hot over the last 2 weeks as at any point over the last couple of years, man. Aaron Judge, 2 weeks now, 13 games. Look at this slash line. 532 batting. 432 batting average. 544 on base. 1,091 slugging percentage. And if you're looking at for the OPS, it's a 1.635 OPS. That is insane when you look at it. And usually an 8 or 900 OPS is pretty damn good. Judge has doubled it. And if you look at this, 7 home runs in 13 games, 12 RBIs. He's basically driving in at least a run a game. He's scored 16 runs, so it's even more than a run a game. And he's chipped in 8 doubles. So you look at this, in 13 games, this guy's got 15 extra base hits.
Yeah, I have to give credit. Even though I feel like half the Yankee fans wearing Judge jerseys, or like that time in my high school days with all those girls that knew nothing about baseball wearing Derek Jeter jerseys. I feel like Aaron Judge is that kind of player like that. But I have to, like Jeter, I have to give credit to Judge. He's doing well, and I have to give credit. I even have to give credit that year he had that, he hit that Yankee record for single season home runs.
Yeah, and the American League record too.
Yeah. And I agree with those people who were saying it's a clean record. That man did it without steroids. That's a record that's not going to be tarnished like that McGwire thing. And I feel bad for these people that acquired so many McGwire rookie cards. That maybe noticed some old baseball cards they had and realized they had McGwire rookie card like I do. I realized I had a McGwire rookie card. I kind of wish I held on to it. I kind of wish I sold it back in 1999.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
Because I thought I got to hold on to this a couple of years. I wish I held on to this a lot longer because holy shit, I could have got some nice little pocket money or something.
Yeah, well, at this rate, I wish I had an Aaron Judge rookie card because Aaron Judge, man, this guy is, if he stays healthy and he doesn't get hurt, it's tough to tell me, I guess you could say it's all about health because, look, Mike Trout might be the best player in the game when he's healthy. Bryce Harper might be the best player in the game when he's healthy. but it's tough to argue against Aaron Judge, man, because as good as those two other guys have been, neither one of them has hit 62 home runs.
Yeah, exactly. And I just have to give a lot of credit to I have to give credit that's credit due for Aaron Judge.
Yeah,
I
absolutely, Dan.
I have to agree. I have to I have to give credit that's due on that one.
Yeah,
But
and
and at the same time, I gotta say, and at the same time, I do gotta say, as I said before, I wish I sold that McGuire rookie card back in 1999 or 2000 because unfortunately, when I held on to too long, we found out about that steroid shit, and it just probably disappointed me to a small scale. And I feel bad for those people who bought a bunch of those rookie cards thinking they were going to have a gold mine a couple of years because it's backfired on them even worse than it did for me.
yep, well, they call that, Dan, they call that fool's gold. And on that note, I think that's about going to do it for us today, Dan. It's 8 o'clock right now, so I hit my heart out. I got to get the hell out of here. But Dan, before we get out of here, do you have anything you'd like to plug for yourself?
Sure, you got my YouTube account where you can find all my Bobo content, which you Patreon subscribers get early access to. You got Bobo Simone ADK. That's on Instagram. You got Bobo 103 on Twitter, as you see there on the screen. And that's everything I plug. Also, I got to catch up with the Trackside Minute because there's just been so much happening that it's just hard to, even though I've been watching all the races and know what's happening. It's been hard to get at, but I'll make sure to get some Bobo Trackside Minutes in there because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world of NASCAR I'll be talking about. But yeah, I hope that you can find all your Bobo content there. I know it's places.
Absolutely. So make sure to check Dan out there. Check him out on his YouTube channel, as he said. Don't forget about our Patreon. Only $5. Yeah.
And one more thing I do got to say, congratulations to Darryl Strawberry on getting your number retired this weekend. I'm going to be there to see that ceremony as any Met fan should be when they're seeing one of their greats get their number retired. Congratulations, Strawberry. This is a long overdue thing. So congratulations on your number retirement.
Absolutely. Congratulations to the great Darryl Strawberry. Long overdue. And so I think that's about going to do it for us today, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Best Eaten House Podcast. It's only $5. We appreciate the support of everybody who's already in. And don't forget to check us out on Twitter at BSith_podcast and also on Instagram at Best Eaten House Podcast. So once again, thank you everybody for watching episode 117, another edition. As you can see on Dan's show, there's no quit in New York. The Rangers are going to come back on Thursday and kick some ass. And we'll be back on Sunday on Patreon kicking some ass too. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Rob Kramer. This is my co-host, Daniel Bobo Curlin. And this is the Best Seat in the House podcast. Catch you next week, everybody.